Hey everybody, this is John on behalf of Second Dynasty, and I got a little brief update video for the mini rover that won the vote. So this was a test first to see if it could even support itself on these kind of like steam roller legs. This is just printed completely with fake parts. I think there's like an iris from a Beta Centauri just stuck on there. It is supporting itself. This is the highest they will articulate because the little guys go up and down. All right, and I want to show some of the progress on the iterative design. Initially, I designed it with a bunch of extra parts. So here's this one, and it had like a rod that would go through this part here, and then you stick it through this, but I made it too big, and so it was like it didn't really work because I forgot about the seam that gets created when you're printing. And then I was like, oh, I can use a piece of filament, and then I could have it like cut, and it, you know, it kind of works. You push it through, and that does its job, but it's really loosey, and the articulation was not exactly right. And you can also see like it's slightly off center in some ways. Like it was hard to get it to line up perfectly. It just doesn't feel good. So one of the other problems is that the wheel would stop because I had it ridged like this. I looked at some real designs and they had this little curvature which makes it to where it rolls a lot better. Just an example. That resisted, and this one continues for some time. And so I designed that with the filament to go through, but I made it slightly too small because I'm still learning, unlike Ben. Then I went to another design, and this design, I still kept the same pistons, and we see another problem, same print, but now this one has a big old gap. If I try to remove it, it's very fiddly, it falls off. And the filament worked okay, but I had to push it in, then cut it, and it has a little bit of move to it. And you could see it actually fell apart right on screen. So this was just too much effort to make it fall apart so quickly. And I was like, how can we make this simpler? And one of the ways is to reduce the parts. I went and approached it in a different way with this part. I made it to where this is actually cut in half, and this piece goes here and just goes across, and there's a triangle inside of it that I'll show you in this piece example. So there's a triangle piece that slots into another triangle hole on the other side to make it be able to rotate together instead of have difficulty. And then I redesigned this section to also be not a piece of filament, but a rod with another triangle that's all part of the same piece. So you now only have 4 pieces instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces. And then it worked better. In fact, even had a nice little articulation here, but it was a little too loosey-goosey here, and it was a little too falling when you try to play with it. So I went and redesigned it, and these hinges has a little tiny spike in it. That spike goes into this little curved area. This is a newer one. There you go. So this one also had limited articulation, which is a lot stiffer, and it still has some play, but not as much. And the important part is when you're playing with it on low, it rolls the tire very easily. So it worked okay, but then I was like, hey, I can redesign this because we're now clipping in here. We no longer need this exposed area. Also, I wanted to have a really lock in to where you actually could use it, not just trying to use it here. If I try to put any pressure, it falls back down. I want to be able to move it around on the higher setting. So that led to a new design where I'll show you the pieces. They just got done off the Prusa Mini. So I'm going to pop these off. Here they are. And this has been cooling this whole time. There we go. I love this satin powder coated sheet. And here are the new parts. So now you will snap this straight into it, and it still has that little notch, but now I've added to this piece little extra, you can barely see them, but just tiny little hint notches here. So we will pop the tire on, making note to make sure we get the rotation right, because it doesn't matter, and we'll slot this into there. Just pick a spot. Then I'm going to take the other piece, and then let's see how that snaps together, how that feels. I don't like how it's kind of blind going in, but oh, did you hear that? I like how that feels. I love the little clicky clackies of putting things together. The tire still rotates, but has a little more resistance this time. We can adjust that in another design. So this has ridges now. That's a little more oh, there we go, okay. So I want to pop that in. It would go like this into this. This is just a test piece. And you can now articulate it up. You have like the clicky points, like it goes here, then here. And now let's try the highest articulation point. There it is, and it kind of stays there even if you go upside down. Oh, it's kind of locking still. I had to fix that in the redesign. I had to give a little more space for the tire. But you can see that's working a lot better. There's the progress update on the Mini Rover. Hurrah! Don't forget to join our tribe. For $3 to $5 a month. You get monthly releases like the Mini Rover and miniatures. Plus, you get to vote on what gets made. We appreciate the support. And I'm also posting updates in our Discord. Both those links are in the description below.